Good morning. You're the first one. You're the first one. Oh, I always do that. You're the first one. Oh, I always do that. Okay. I got it fixed. Now I'm not talking to myself. You're the first one. I said that. Okay. Am I talking over myself? Okay, I hope the internet is going to hold out in here. It looks like I'm on a delay. Darn it. I'm good. I have to keep on a schedule this morning because I have a doctor's appointment later. And I have my alarm set to remind me not to be late. Okay. There's no, yeah, there's no, what do you call it? Shadow in my glasses today. I got the light overhead instead of in front. Maybe that will cure my forever shadows in my eyes. Maybe. So where am I at today? You noticed? I can actually read the chat without squinting. Isn't that nice? I did. I've been making a list of the places that I said that I was going to. Some of the places that are um, that we visited that were reportedly haunted, had spirits, unusual happenings. So it's a short list. I couldn't find them all yet. Nice office chair. Yeah, this is my chair. Yeah. I could bring it up a little bit. It looks like I'm peeking over the edge of something. Um, Let me see if I can bring it up a little. Or maybe I can just turn the okay. That's better. Didn't look like I'm going. Yeah, I found a little thing underneath the chair that I could lower it up and down, and it was really high because I have short legs, and it was cutting the. Okay, good. So I don't have a lot of bars on the internet. It says I have access, but I'm I'm in the farmhouse, so I'm further away from the internet than I normally am. Um, so maybe I better put you on live chat so I can see. Lower the camera. Yeah, I just lowered the screen. Then I don't have to mess with my chair. I just lowered the actual screen. But I could turn it a little. But yeah, it's a lot better in here because I don't have the glares. I don't know, but it works. It works. So I officially got set up with my Amazon affiliate program. I haven't got all of the stuff in place yet, but I was officially accepted late last night. Oh, you didn't know that? I didn't know what? About lowering the camera or putting the lights over in the back? I think I knew it, it's just I never could get it right. I don't really wanna search emojis. Somehow I got on something here. I think my battery in my live chat bottom says it moved. Oh, the chair lever, yeah. I didn't know there was one, no. It was set probably for Ricky, and he always says he hated my chair and he's gonna throw it out, but I wouldn't let him. I just have to clean it because it's a little bit, dirty from being in the farmhouse, under all of these, under all of the renovations we're doing. Steve's excited and says you will make lots of dollars. He views and orders daily. Oh, and I love Steve. I know he does. He's like the great Amazon aficionado. So we'll see. I do have, and I'll post it in this live stream. I do have my code. Yeah, you too. Um, I had to set up a new Amazon account just for this. So, they got to figure out how to pay you and all that. If you earn some money, I mean, I may not, but if you do, but my code is just 6 acres farm dash 20. So anybody who puts that code in, hey, Annabeth, nice to see you. How are you doing? Is school over? I keep asking you that. I keep asking. I've been trying to figure out how to keep the glare off of my eyeglasses so you can actually see me instead of seeing these big dots. I remember when I got my talk about big dots in my eyeglasses when I got my high school pictures taken. All you could see was these white streaks across my eyes, and it looked like the eyes were hidden. And hey, Radical Changes, good morning. How are you? That is cool. So yeah, so finally I got it to where I don't have glare on my eyeglasses, because that's the most annoying thing, is to try to talk to someone and you cannot see their eyes. I don't know about y'all, but I look in people's eyes when I talk with them. Well, I'm kind of hard to hear, and so I actually read your lips too. So if I can't see that, and boy, that was rough when we were all wearing masks, because I was having a terrible time. I'm doing very well. Radical Changes, remind me of your first name. I gotta start writing these down. The more I write them down, the more I remember, right? Um, just because I know you, but it's like, what's the first name again? I have written some of them down. But yeah, I'm doing good. The weather is so nice. It's kind of overcast, but it's 72. Well, and it got 80 yesterday. I don't think it's going to get quite that high today. But yeah, uh, yeah, I can't trust people who don't take off their sunglasses when speaking to me. Yes, that is the most rude thing, because and especially if they have the that really high glare, and it's like a mirror and you're just looking at yourself, and you can't, I mean, it's like you can't make contact with people if you can't look them in the eye. You might as well be in a dark room talking to somebody, because that's the way I feel. I want to look at someone's eyes. Now, when we were all, um, their intentions are in in theirs, in ours, our eyes. Yeah, I know that sometimes it changes stuff to really crazy stuff. Uh, you said your name is Isis? or Iris? Am I looking at right? How do you pronounce that? Um, so yeah, it when we were all wearing masks, it was the most difficult thing to come up to someone, and we didn't really get out a whole lot, but you come up and it's like, okay, what did you say? And they have I sis, like hi sis, I sis. Okay. Um, but so if they don't have any expressions in their eyes, it's hard to tell if they're smiling or they're making fun of you or they're mad at you if they just have this straight blank look. But I got better at it because I could tell if their eyes were squinting or they were smiling so I did get a little better at it, you know, as we went, but I always felt handicapped um if I couldn't see their eyes. And, I like to see their facial expressions. I don't know about y'all, but I do. I'm gonna write that down now, keeping my little list. Um, and make sure I know Annabeth already, and I know Gummy. So, um, well, I'm glad you're almost done, Annabeth. I know that you're excited to be finished. Now, around here, they started summer school, which I don't know about the high schools, but I know people in the middle school and the elementary school, pre-K, and they only go to about, I don't know, 12:30, 1 o'clock. They give them a bag lunch to send them home, but they go in at 7:30. They go in very early. So that's the program for those who really need some extra help, which is a good what, it's good. And they do pay the teachers a little extra stipend, but like most teachers, they really don't make a whole lot. So sometimes you wonder if it's really worth all of um the extra time they're spending away from family, because I think it's only 6 weeks, but they only get 2 months to begin with. So they're like, they have 2 weeks to do anything. 2 weeks. You still have math. Um, I can't believe you still have math. I thought you was taking all those testing and you were about done with math. So yeah. Did y'all figure out I'm in a new place today? Yeah, I'm like a bunny. I hop all over the place. But this back here, this is my wardrobe, and it's very wide. You can't really see how wide it is, but I mean, it goes on and on and on. There, it's that wide. So I'm about to start, restoring it. There's quite a bit of damage. There's some water damage, and there's some veneer that's coming off. So yes, I am going to have to paint it. Um, I'll do a little repair. I am going to keep the inside because it looks like cedar. And I do have some cedar oil that I usually rub on the inside to, I like the smell of that cedar. And besides, cedar keeps moths away. Um, Not that I have, that many sweaters anymore, but it does. Um, so we brought it in. It's got some scratches on the front, some scratches along the side. And that is, I had it under the tent outside, and we had some really heavy winds in the last month, and the frame to the tent broke. Well, the metal hit it. Thank goodness it didn't break the mirror, because the mirror is a beveled mirror. It's an original mirror, and I really would have been heartsick if I couldn't have saved that. So with the wind moving, it has all of these big scratches. They're not real deep, but I'll be able to smooth them out a little bit with the sander, and maybe if I have to put some putty in it, I can do it too. But So yeah, it will go in the bedroom, which we are working on now. It won't be long. We will have an update, and it might not be a very long update, but we're going to update on the rooms. Um, the refrigerator is already moved into the pantry. The only thing we need in the pantry now is my washer and dryer, and we're looking for a good sale. Hopefully, we'll have a good sale with all of these holidays that's here. Plus, Father's Day is coming up too, and to put my sink in. So that's the only two things that we need before it's actually a 100% working bathroom pantry area. Got doors. We have doors now. My shelving is back there that I'm going to use, and I'll show you guys. But after I start putting all this stuff in there, it's like, oh my gosh, I it's starting to shrink up. I have less and less room. When it was empty, it seemed like it was so large, but and we did have to raise the floor, so that and we have to lower the ceiling too because nothing was level. Everything has been rewired, replumbed, new insulation. We have completely new walls, except for one little tiny spot. I was able to keep the original walls. Um, Somehow I'm missing all the. Hey, Elise, I'm missing everything. For some reason, my chat wasn't moving. Um, Let's see. Let me go back. So I am getting to the point where I'll be able to give y'all an update. The refrigerator is moved out of the kitchen. We're about to start demolishing everything. I'm packing it up now. Um, so we're going to take it out to the bare walls, uh, redo everything. We're even going to take one of the walls out to open it up into the small dining area so that it'll look like one large space and it won't be so shut off. It's not like I do a whole lot of cooking in there, but I would like to have some space if I want to. Let's see. Um, oh, okay. Where's my live chat started. Isis says, I feel like it's just a respect thing. If people can't take 5 seconds to greet you without their glasses, they can't be trusted. And yeah, schooling is crazy. Yeah, and it's also the same thing when you go into a grocery store. I used to work in a grocery store and I hated it. Absolutely. And I really detest that word too. Hate. I really thought it was so disrespectful for somebody to come up and you're checking their groceries out and they're on the dang phone, and it's like, why am I, and I will always repeat the prices of, this is when you actually had somebody waiting on you. And it was a you know, small town grocery store that my brother owned. And I would tell all the prices and but if they came up and they were on the phone, or if you go into a bank, and a lot of the signs in the bank now, they don't want you on the phone and they tell you that you need to get off. And I think they ought to just stand there and wait for them to finish their conversation and make them get off, right? It's like, hello, you know, talk to me, not the person on the phone. You can put the phone down for 5 minutes if you can. Um, Annabeth says I'll be in the 10th grade next. Oh, really? Congratulations. Taking sign language as a foreign language. Really? That counts. That is amazing. I had a little book when I was in high school that gave all of the sign languages, and it was really interesting. I learned a few, but if you don't use them, you know how it is. You lose that. But that's a very worthwhile thing to do. Yeah, very. Um, Isis says I was speaking to someone and they were outraged that teachers wanted more pay, but they're literally the teachers of the future generations. But I do not agree with the curriculum. No, curriculum is really tough. I have school teachers all through the family, and they spend a lot of money out of their own pockets, but yet they do they do give them a little bit of a grant. Now the pre-K got a little grant, so that she could order things for her classroom that normally, they're not going to supply. They don't even supply paper. So if you need to copy something, they don't, you got to have your own paper. So yeah, Elise, how are you doing? It's nice to see you. Hope you're doing well. Gummy says, I agree with the sunglasses. Rubs my nerves raw. Yeah, it's like my last nerve, people. Take the sunglasses off so I can see you talking. I don't know. It's a thing. I don't know. It's just something we grew up. Hey, Kansas Misfit, nice to see you. My internet sucks at this time of the month. I'm listening while de-weeding my garden. Oh well, my internet. I hope it does okay because I'm further away from what little internet we have. I am in the farmhouse, so but yeah, I hope it holds out. I feel like it's got a little lag on it, but it's the best I can do today. I have a doctor's appointment, so I have to get off on time today. I have my timer set, but I wanted to come on and say hi anyway. Um, Gummy says my granddaughter took sign language in college classes for special needs kids. Turtle is nonverbal autism, and yes, and he does. He does use sign languages for some things to actually communicate with Gummy. So that's really, I mean, that's amazing for him to be able to do that. It says, I'm glad you came on for life. Oh, thank you so much. I really, it's easier to get busy and say, oh gosh, you know, I just can't do it this week or today. But sometimes it's just a lot. I mean, even if it's just 15 or 20 minutes at least. And there are people, I know y'all know this, there are people that get on every morning or every day, and sometimes 15, 20 minutes, sometimes half an hour, sometimes 2 or 3 hours. Oh my gosh, God, I got stuff to do. You know, I'm taking my hour to, rest. This is my rest period. Hey, Sherman's family, how you doing? Oh, I'm glad to see you got to go up to Ten Killer Lake for the YouTube meetup. That looked like a lot of fun. But it would have been 16 hours for me to go. That was a little bit too far for me. Yeah. So, but I got to watch quite a bit of it, and so I'm glad you got to go. So yeah, I I got my tractor fixed, y'all. I can't believe it. We had an issue with, because it was stuck in the mud for almost a month down in the woods, and when he brought it back up, we discovered that one of the hydraulic lines had gotten punctured, so they had to repair that, and so we got that. So now I can get what gardening that I'm going to do. So now I can do that. Probably start next week because I have a full schedule right now. Um, got my lawnmower fixed. I said the front was beginning to look like, I don't know. Y'all don't even want to know how big those dandelions got. I think they were knee high. And I came home. My son fixed my lawnmower, and he cut my grass. It's like, oh, so I don't even have to go cut the grass now. So I'm real happy about that because that was on one of I have a list. I have this big long list of things to do, and I have scratched off quite a bit of them, but it just keeps growing. I scratch one thing off, and then there's something else. Um, Whoops, let me go back. My chat jumped for some reason. Oh, let's see. So I got that fixed. Um, Hey, yesterday I actually took, I don't know, maybe an hour or so off and went fishing in the pond. The kids wanted to go fishing, and I had been saving these hot dogs. You know, they were kind of, when I cleaned out the freezer, I found them, and I thought, oh well, they'll make good catfish bait. And because so I couldn't find myself throwing anything away, so I I gave the boys a non-sharp knife, and my grandson and his friend was over, and they cut them up into little pieces, and um, so we go fishing. Oh, I wished I had a picture of the catfish that come out of there. They called him the Big Daddy last year, and he came up and he got on one of my kids' lines, and he broke the line. Well, we got him in this time. He had to be, well, I didn't have my scale at the time. So, but he, in inch wise, he was probably about 18 inches. Oh, he was huge, and his head was as big as my hand. I mean, it's a channel cat, but they were so excited, and then they were even more excited. They wanted him off, and I was there, so I was trying to take him off. You know, that dadgum thing bit me. He, I guess you can't see, but I mean, he bit me right across there, drew blood, and then he finned me. It hurt. Okay, I'm whining today, aren't I? But anyway, he finned me on the knuckle too. I'd had a big gash on my knuckle. He was big, but I did finally get it off because I was worried about him swallowing the hook. I didn't want to kill him. I wanted to put him back. But I mean, I yelled and he was hanging on to my thumb because you got to stick your thumb in there, and well, I didn't want to break his jaw, so I didn't want to use the pliers, but the fish hook was down in there. And whoa, I still have, I have skin. I have skin where he cut me. See right there? And it was all the way around my thumb. And I was yelling. I can't, honestly, sorry. I was screaming like a little girl. And but I mean, he was hanging on to me, and I couldn't get, I had the pliers in the other hand, and I'm trying to grab him to get him off of me. And finally, I guess he scraped and cut my finger up until he actually dropped it. He dropped down to the ground on his own. Ooh, it hurt. Let me tell you, it hurt. And but the kids are funny. Oh, what is it? What did I miss? Gummy Doodle. I was born in at home in Lone Grove, and I love watching your surrounding videos. Oh, she's talking to Sherman's family. He lives in the area that we actually grew up in. Linda and I went to the school in Zanais. Yes, that was our school until, well, for me, it was sixth grade, sixth, seventh grade, something like that. And the school is still there. Um, was there, I don't know, it's been 7 years, but 7 years ago the school was still there, and I believe they were still teaching school there. So yeah, that was our little town in Oklahoma. It's a nice little area, but yeah, and I really want to go back again. If I ever go back, I'm gonna meet up with Sherman's family farm. Because we always go through Ardmore, and then we go to Lone Grove because our parents are buried there, and one of our brothers, um, our littlest, well, a 5-year-old. Um, so yeah, so we always go through there, then we go through and we see the home place. We kind of drive around and see all the different home places that we remember we lived in. And then we go on over to Warrica, and we go to Bill's Catfish House. Oh my gosh. If I do nothing when I go to Oklahoma, I go to this catfish house. And of course it has to land right because most of those places are only open Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Some are Friday, Saturday, Sunday afternoon after church. So you have to hit it right. So I always plan my time in Oklahoma around a weekend. And there's also another fish place called McGahey's. It's in outside of Ardmore. It's really good too. But for some reason, Bill's, they have thin catfish and it's crispy, and oh boy, I cannot tell you how the slaw is. I can't tell you how the hush puppies are, because I don't ever eat those. All I eat is the catfish. That's what I go for. And if it's really hot, I'll have me a glass of sweet tea. And that's really unusual for me to drink sweet tea. But it's just something about hometown, you know. I like that. I do like it. So let's see where the hush puppies are good. Gummy, you remember that? See, she's been back there. She was probably back there a couple of years ago, and I don't know if she got to eat at I can't remember if she got to eat there or not, but our brother that lives in Wichita Falls, uh, him and his family live there, and you know, it's like an excuse to go. It's like, we always plan it around that. But I mean, it's been there. Well, we left in the 60s, and we know it was there before that. So it's been there a long time. So it's got to be good. No, Bill's was closed, but I never forget good food. Yeah, you have to catch it right. If you go over there on if it's not at least a Friday night or Saturday, um, then you can't get to it. But we've got a couple of good places in Georgia, and one of them's closer to Atlanta, and it's in an old cabin. You actually have to go through someone's pasture, past their cows, and you go up in the woods, and the cabin is up in the woods, and they've remodeled it, and it's barbecue. They do serve barbecue some nights, but the weekends usually you get catfish, and they serve whole catfish also, which not many places do that. But yeah, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite little hangouts. So I guess we travel for food. Do y'all do that when you go to a place that you're really familiar with, and it's like, you know, I've just got to have it because I need to make sure it's the same as it was, you know, when we were here last. And we literally went through a cornfield, and we drove and drove and drove. There's no internet out there, so we thought we were lost, and we couldn't get any GPS up to find out. And finally we ran into a road that had the restaurant in there, and we were so disappointed because we went in there, and we're going to order their catfish, and we're going to order a big old baked potato because this state is known for potatoes, right? They were out of potatoes. I can't believe they were out of potatoes. But so we didn't get to go do that. That was one of our trips when we were heading towards Montana. We just went all over the place. We jumped everywhere. Isis says yes, many places don't serve catfish whole because when it's not properly cooked and served right, it can make you extremely sick. Yes, I mean it has to be cooked, and the small ones are cooked to the point where the bones are actually cooked because they're so small. But they usually run out of the small ones, and those are fresh caught. Those are fresh caught. They don't buy those in a catfish wholesale place. They actually look fresh. But it's a little place up in Buckeye, Georgia, near Atlanta. And but I mean, it's the neatest little place. The fireplace is as big as one of my walls, and it was the kind where they actually cook their meals in the fireplaces. Yeah. I have a tiny catfish in my fish tank. He's so cute. Pink white one. Really? I've never had a catfish in my fish tank before. Um but yeah, when we catch those little ones, we caught plenty of them yesterday. So we put them back in the pond. But after the couple of big ones, I caught a pretty good sized one. After we caught those, then everything was small. It's like, well, and then they quit biting. So our time was over. So they had their lunch break, and then they were done. But they loving them hot dogs, I tell you what. And I like to use fresh chicken liver also. Well, I freeze it, and then I cut it up in little pieces, and and they do like that too. But we hardly ever use worms. We probably have tons of them here on the farm, but we probably don't ever use them. Now, I have used catawba worms before, but you have to cut them in half, and you have to you can't use the outside, you gotta use the inside. That's kinda gross. Okay. We won't talk about gross stuff at lunchtime, sorry. I get carried away. I forget that this is lunch. So, yeah. Okay, last week, I want to try to remember some of the places that we have stayed or visited. Most of them we've stayed, I guess, that were reportedly, haunted. Um, that there's several places that we have literally gone on purpose so that we could stay there because it was just an unusual historical place for one, and then they talk about spirits sometimes that have not passed on, um but probably the most unusual thing that happened to us, the first one I ever stayed at was in the Garden District in New Orleans. um I think at the time it was called um I forget the name, but they said it was a castle. And it looked like a brick castle on the outside, but when you went inside, it was really period. It had the hardwood floors, the high ceilings, and we're not talking 10-foot ceilings, we're probably talking more than that. And it was everything in there, the furniture, and I love the history of the old places. And we stayed in this room, and of course it was a it was a full size bed. So everybody these days has to have a bigger bed, right? Because you got your kids jumping all over you, and you got to have extra room for definitely. Um, so what we did is we stayed in there. We wanted to go to the Mardi Gras. Oh, actually, not the Mardi Gras this time. We were going to take a cruise. So we had one night we wanted to stay before we took a cruise to down to um, the Bahamas, I think. And so we stayed. This it had the big canopy bed over you and everything, and the bed was so high, I think I needed a ladder to get on it. It was so high. So, and back then, I mean, we're talking 15 years ago. Back then, I was a big book reader. I mean, I toted my books around, paper bags. And so my husband's always one that goes to bed early, and I have to stay up a couple hours and read, and that's what I was doing. I was reading, and I fell asleep, I guess, while I was reading. And in the middle of the night, we heard this huge crash. I mean, it sounded like I thought he had fell out of bed. I mean, it was like, whoa. And it was like, I don't know. It was just, when you wake up in something and you're trying to figure out what it was or where you're at, that's the way I felt. And my book that I was reading, I thought would have been in the bed with me, because that's where usually if I fell asleep. It was over on the other side of the room, which was at least 10 feet across. It had hit the door. My book was laying over by the door where you would go out into the hallway. And my husband's like, "Why'd you throw the book over there?" I swear I do not remember ever throwing that book. But he told me that I did it. He said, "Oh no, you did that." I said, "Honestly, I was asleep and it startled me just like it did you." And but my book was that far away. It was more than 10 feet. It was quite a way. It was enough to put another whole bed between the bed into the bed and the wall. So it was he talked about that. He said, "You did that on purpose, didn't you?" You know, he couldn't believe that I didn't do it. I didn't knowingly do it, and he didn't knowingly do it, but that's where it was at. So that was the only thing that happened in that place. Let me see, what did I miss? I'd love to have catfish in our pond. This is Annabeth. We have too many bass that would eat the babies. Yeah. We did stock our pond a couple of years ago. We put in smallmouth bass and we put in shell crackers and sunfish and crappie. We put and they were all small, so I'm sure a lot of them got eaten. And there was at least 100 of each. So I'm sure some of them got eaten. And occasionally we'll go out there and we'll catch when the sun, they're not going to bite with the hot dogs and the liver. They want worms. So when we're fishing with something else, we do catch them. But usually when we go to the pond, it's a spur of the moment thing and we haven't thought about digging up worms or anything. But yeah, so we like the idea of just going and relaxing and you know. So yeah. Um let's see. Oh yeah, Gummy saying we she is coming back to Georgia next year. About it's going to be in June, yeah, in June. So yeah. Um my my other thing that my other one that I remember was the Myrtles. I told y'all a little bit about that last week. The Myrtles um, is very famous, and I wrote down it this property in it's right outside of New Orleans. It's called St. Francisville, I believe. Um, it is the Myrtles Plantation, and we stayed in the caretaker's quarters because there was a wedding in the house. So we couldn't stay there. But they have let's see, it's a 1796 plantation home that is reportedly haunted uh with 12 different um ghosts. Now, of course nobody's seen all 12 at one time, I'm sure. And it's famous for a woman named Chloe. She was a servant in the house with the family, and I guess her owner, whatever, that was back when they had slaves, and I don't approve of slaves, but I mean that's what it was. She would He was really cruel to all the help, and she would listen in the peepholes at conversations when he had guests, and they would go into they called it a drawing room, I think, at the time, where the big doors opened up. It was huge, and she would listen in on conversations so she would know when she was needed to stay away or hide, and she did that to protect herself from his cruelty. Well, he caught her over and over again, and I guess he said that if he caught her again, that he was going to make her pay. Well, he did. He cut off her left ear, and she wore from then on. She wore a turban, and of course, she covered the left side, so nobody ever saw the scar or the. But as modern day in the last 100 years, this is a 200-year-old house, yeah. Um, Guests who came would say they was missing an earring, and they would only be able to find one of their earrings. There is a display there with very period pieces of earrings. Um, and maybe you don't know, it could be all a gimmick, but these earrings looked really um authentic. But there would be only one earring that was found in unusual places, and supposedly she would take whoever was visiting, she would take one earring. And of course you can't tell if it's a right or a left because the earrings are both the same. So that was their claim to fame, is one of the ghosts that was Chloe, and she actually came back to the house and poisoned part of the family, supposedly. So yeah, there was. Oh, I forgot about the one that I went to, it called Rose Hall Plantation. It's over in when we went to Jamaica. It's over there, and it has quite a history also. We were just doing some touring and we went through that one. So that was quite unusual. But this one in New Orleans is really, I mean, the grounds itself, the house is like a small hotel. It's so big. It's really beautiful. So, if you enjoy history and local history, uh, even without the spirits that supposedly are there, like I said, we stayed in the caretaker's cottage, and somebody had told me that to find out if there was anything going on in the room at night while you were sleeping, if you would take the photographs that are hanging on the wall and make them off center, cockeyed, that if there was someone in the room, that they would be straightened up in the morning. Well, we got up in the morning and all my pictures are crooked. So I had to go around and actually fix the pictures because I had made them crooked. So nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. Annabeth says yesterday I found a 6-foot chicken snake on the driveway. Ooh, he was huge. We let him go since he was harmless. Oh yeah, he's harmless and he's eating good too if he's that big. For sure. Some friends of mine that have a YouTube channel over about half an hour from here, Ormsby Farms. They found two in the last, I guess it's in the last week or so, and it seems like one of them might have had rattles. Um, so yeah, but there's some bad ones out there too. Luckily, I have not seen any. Um, we've got a lot of our chicken area where the smaller chickens are at. We've got metal, but they can find their way in if they really want in to get a chicken or get eggs. They'll find a way. But so far, keep our fingers crossed. We haven't had them right up near the house like we did a couple of years ago. Monday, I found a king snake on the driveway. We let him go too. They eat venomous ones. Yes, yes. The chicken snakes, the black snakes, the king snake. They're the black ones. Um, they do eat mice. They eat poisonous snakes. Of course, they'll eat your eggs and your chickens too if they're small enough. The baby chicks, they'll wipe out a baby chick nest. 2 in 2 days. Well, you're 2 and 2 now, huh? So hopefully today will be a better day, Annabeth. I hope so. So yeah, but that's a couple of the places that we have actually been that had unusual happenings. Now there is one up near Virginia that I have not found all the information on yet, and I will share that. But I know this was a Civil War hospital. It was also a known brothel, and it was a lawyer's office. It was a motel. It was a lot of different things over the years. But each room is named after a president, and we stayed in the Lincoln room when we were there. So, but I wanted to find some more information. It's very historical. It's got an unusual history of what it was used for. The hospital was, I think, the Civil War hospital was the original thing that it was used for, or it was taking over. It was taken over at two. Then they could just take your home, and use it for whatever they needed. So I'm looking up more information on that. And of course, I went to the Rock House that is within 4 miles of me, and I did not visit the cemetery. Apparently, there was a hurricane that came in and destroyed a lot of the property. It was a Quaker um, Wrightsboro establishment, and it had reportedly 40 families living there at one time. The original Rock House is still there. Um, so it is quite interesting, and I love the history about them. I really don't go just for to see if anything unusual is going to happen, but I love the history of these old places. That was probably one of my favorite things in school was history. I need to go and do some stuff. Annabelle, we're glad you came. Good luck and not having any snakes today. Finish your enjoy finishing school, and I'm sure you'll have something to tell us next week. I know your baby chicks are sure growing big too. I went and take a look at them. I got tons of them too. So I'm glad you came. Um, Anybody have anything else that's been going on? Who's all here still? This is a slow day today. Everybody, I know that school is letting out in a lot of places, and people are they're now they're hitting, and this was a holiday weekend. We just had you're good. So I know there's still people, they're coming back from the lake or wherever they went, um, to uh, to celebrate our soldiers and our military, before and after. So I know there has been a lot going on even in our area. So yeah, but the wind's picking up out there now. Uh-oh, I'm getting glares on my glasses. See, if you get the light just right, it makes that glare. So my internet went down. Chat with you later. Okay. I totally understand. Mine goes in and out. Just sometimes I'll get on somebody's live and I can't get back on, even to say bye. So yeah, but I didn't have a whole lot today, but I just wanted to say hi and see how you guys were. Uh I have to drive a little bit, not too far for my appointment. Um when you live rural, everything is you got to drive to it, right? Crossover, paranormal. Hey, I was just talking about some of the places that I have been, that are unusual. How are you doing today? Yes, today would be a good day to go somewhere, and because it's not hot. I mean, it's 74. I mean, it's not really hot for our area. So we may not even get to 80 today, but that's okay. Next week I'm going to have to be working in the garden. Uh and I have blackberries. I do have blackberries. My elderberry are blooming. They bloomed already, so they're putting on fruit. So we will have some elderberry, and I'll be able to make some jam. I'll have to borrow someone's kitchen because mine is under demolition. Yeah. So I'm going to be. Um, it's hard to think about camping out for a long period of time, but we've been camping out for a year in our camper trying to work on the house, because we have lived in a house before while we were remodeling, and that was very tough. Plus, we had two little children at the same time. So that was even tougher. But so there's just a couple of things that we need to do. But my kitchen is going to be totally demolished. I will be any food that we have, I will uh I will have a microwave, I have a hot plate, um I have my coffee pot. I can't do without my coffee pot. I don't know how y'all are, but I got to have my coffee. And I have a toaster oven. In that toaster oven, it bakes, it grills, I mean, it does anything you want. So I'm sure I'll be totally fine. Isa says, I am sure I have a 2-year old. And geez, I can only imagine. Oh, yeah. We were in Arkansas at the time, and we bought this house that was 125 years old. And we actually were living in Arizona. My husband was working down near Phoenix at a nuclear plant that's down there. They were under construction. So we were down there 2 years, but we decided, well, let's buy the property next door to his mother came up for sale, and it was really a good price. I mean, then I think it might have been $50,000. He's like, and it was a beautiful house, hardwood floors. It had carpet on it, but there was hardwood floors under it. And um, after we signed the papers for the deal, then his job ended, so we ended up moving back to Arkansas, and we had the two little ones, and then we're looking for jobs because he was an electrician. So, you go wherever the jobs are, then union jobs. He had to have a union job. And so we were living in the house while we were remodeling, and we did one room at a time. And, we did all the paint, we did all the work, we did everything. We even, pulled up carpets and had, the hardwood floors. I love it. Oh, speaking of hardwood floors, this room is my living room. It's only about 10 by, no, maybe it's 12 by 15 or something like that. It's not very big. This is a farmhouse built in the 30s. Um, I pulled up the carpet that is existing right now, and I'll show you that on my update when I do the update next week. Um, there is hardwood floors in this room, and it has a threshold between the dining room and this room. The dining room's on the other side of this wardrobe here. This is where I'm going to paint it. That's why it's there. Um, the hardwood floors are about maybe they're 4-inch boards, so they're not little tiny ones, but they look pretty stable. They have been painted. So I don't know, but definitely I have some hardwood floors that I'm going to be able to save. I sure hope once I get all this carpet up that it's not too bad, but we may have to sand them down and restain them. But I really wanted some original hardwood floors. But there's a 4-inch threshold going into separating these two rooms, and it is oak. It's a beautiful piece of oak. So we hope to be able to save that also. Hey, Coffee Walks and whatever. How are you doing today? Good to see you. I know I'm just about to wrap up, but I'm glad you came anyway. Um, I have an appointment, so I can't run over today. Otherwise, I could just sit here and talk all day. You're good? How's the weather there? We are 74, mostly cloudy, it says, but the sun is out. And it's just so much nicer. Yesterday was humid and 80, so it is a little better than it was yesterday. So yeah, but and I do go out as much as possible because I have to get in the sun for my vitamin D. Um, so we all need to get outside, and so that's when I go to the pond and fish. Even if I'm not catching anything, it's nice to just sit around. And usually my son's mother-in-law, she comes out, and the kids come out. 75 and human. Where are you at? And remind me what your first names are. I'm trying to keep track. I'm trying to remember instead of just calling you coffee, although that's my favorite drink. Manitoba, Canada. Oh, I hope the weather's good there. Um, I have not been to Manitoba. Oh, Jay and Deb. Okay. Um, I've been to Ottawa. I've been to Victoria, and of course, I've been not. It's over Niagara. I forget. I forget where, but I've been there too. Um, so we've been to Canada a couple of times. Um, Coffee walks. Yeah, coffee. Oh my gosh. I would rather have. Oh, you're in Denver. Oh, yes, yes. Um, my niece lives in Denver. I can remember that one. um, she lives in Denver. I've been to Denver. Um, actually, I've been to a lot of. I've been to of the lower 48. I've been to 47 states. So yes, we used to travel, but that was, you know, we haven't traveled in 7 years since we bought this farm and we have animals. It's just not easy to get away unless you just have something you just have to do. But I did love to travel. New Jersey. um who's in New Jersey? I'm in i'm in Georgia. Oh, animals tie you down. Yes, they do. As much as um, they're our goats are really friendly. The sheep are even friendly. We have a couple of baby doll sheep. Oh, you grew up in New Jersey? Um, the sheep are friendly. The baby goats. Um, yeah, I was asking if you've been there before. Yeah, yes, I have. I have. I've been. Yes, New Jersey. We got on a turnpike. We were coming down from Maine or something, and we had a I think we were antiquing at the time, and we had a trailer behind us, and we went through one of the tolls. Dadgum, if that toll didn't the rail or the whatever, the arm came down between our truck and the camper, ripped that arm right off. I figured they were going to send us a bill for it, but it closed on us before we could get through it. We weren't used to what we were supposed to do. I guess we probably did something wrong, but we didn't know what it was. So yeah, turnpike. Oh my gosh. I mean, we had change. We had dollars. We had change. We were we were prepared, because we knew we were going to come to some of the toll roads and some of the turnpikes, and so But I don't know what we did wrong. We were just naive about them. But I mean, it was in the middle of the night because it was already dark, and so we went through there, and then all of a sudden we heard this pow, and we saw boards flying everywhere, and it's like, oh my gosh, they're going to send us a bill for that. They never did. We would have paid it, but there was nobody there to watch it, so there was no reason. Of course, you're not supposed to stop, anyway, because those people fly through there. So yeah, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's ever done that. Well, I wasn't driving; my husband was driving. It's just the luck of New Jersey. Yeah. Yeah, you can't get there. I mean, we went to New York a couple of times. Um, we ran a gift shop, and we used to go up to Manhattan and to the Javits Center, and we would order, whatever we were needing for the next season. And so that was the last time we drove to New York. The next time, two times we flew, and uh, we took the train. It's like, okay, we're not driving anymore. We don't like driving in New York. It was just awful. That was the worst experience. But the area around the Javits Center, it was very nice. And we got off the train, and we only had to walk, maybe a mile to get to where we were going. So it wasn't really bad, but it was quite an experience, and we never got over breaking that barrier down. But we've seen it done before. We've seen people in front of us hit it before, since then, on a couple of turnpikes, and it's like, "Oh my gosh," and it always is like, "Don't you remember we did that?" And, we're probably still on a hit list somewhere because we destroyed their property, but why did it close on us? Did we not did we not say that we had a trailer maybe? I don't know what it was. Oh, I'm sure anyone could have told you that the train is the best way to get around because of traffic and crazy drivers. Yeah, and you know what? We enjoyed getting on the train. We did that twice. The last time we were in New York was the day we were leaving, the day of 9/11. We had been there since Friday. We had flown in the same airport that the people in the white car, they were they were in that same area on Friday when we came in. And when we got ready to leave, we could not get out because we had flown in, so we couldn't get out. We couldn't rent a car even. And finally, we offered to double up with some guy that was going back to Atlanta because our truck was in Atlanta. And we finally were going to buddy up with the last car with a stranger. I mean, we were that desperate. And then at the last minute, the guy backed out. I guess we were too Farmerville for him, but he didn't feel comfortable. He was kind of a young guy. but he didn't feel comfortable with us. I guess he thought that we were probably really, straight off the farm. And we didn't even have a farm then. We're just normal people. But that was the last time I actually went to New York. And it wasn't the last time I flew, but it it was quite a harrowing you know thing because you didn't know what was going on. We just knew that everything was on lockdown, trains, car. I mean, it was pretty awful. Yes, we were blessed. Things could have been very bad, yes. And when you're in a situation like that, you don't know how you're going to act, because besides being scared and out of our element, everybody else was too, and they were stuck in places. And you know it kind of, what's the name of that movie about trains and planes and automobiles or whatever. And the well, I don't know what it was. The mama's trying to get home. John Candy was in that one. The mama's trying to get home. Oh, um that was that kid. I forget what, Macaulay Culkin. That was his movie. But I felt like that, where we were just desperate enough. We were going to take a truck. We were going to take whatever. We had to get out of there. We had to get home, and it took us 28 hours to drive from New York back to Atlanta. 28 hours, which was a lot longer than it should have. But we had to go around all the big cities because a lot of them were closed down. They didn't want you in the big city areas. So we had to do all of the outskirts. And it was it was nerve wracking. And it was hours before we could contact our children and let them know, because they knew we were there, and let them know that we were okay. And oh, I told you I had an appointment, and I'm I've got my alarm, so I'm late. But I guess I'll get off. I'm glad you guys came. It was so nice to see you all, and maybe next week, um, I'll have something interesting to talk about. Y'all think of something. Think of something. Some places you've been, or what are you going to do for the summer? I know everybody's got some kind of plans for the summer, right? Um, we're not really going anywhere, but thank you. I'm glad to see you, Isis. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things going on this summer, I'm sure, because this is our first summer that's been totally maskless. And there's not the restrictions are not there. The gas prices are actually better. Oh, you're not going anywhere either? Yeah. I've got to get some of my garden, even if it's garden items that I can feed to the animals. I have to start getting. I've got containers. My garden is full of a lot of clay, but I do have berries. So the berries are doing well. So they'll grow anywhere. They don't. I don't think they have to have an inch of dirt. We'll see. So there's a lot of things I have to do this summer besides finishing this remodel, because we've got to get back in this house. I'm so tired of camping. I'm just you won't get me to go and drive and go camping anywhere now, because I've done it for a year and I'm tired. I'm done. Stick a fork in me. Camping's over. So I will see you guys maybe next week, okay? And I appreciate you coming. And I hope you have a good rest of the week. And maybe I'll have something interesting. See you. Oh, you feel that too? Yeah, that's the way it is. You know, bye. Glad you came. Stuck it out with me.